Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Movie Blog. This is your audio edition for Monday, February 13th, 2006. This is the best damn movie-related podcast on the internet. As always, I am your host. I am the founder and the editor of the Movie Blog. My name is John Campia. And joining me, as always, on this delightful Valentine's Day Eve.
Oh, yes.
Is the ever-romantic, the Casanova of Ontario, Canadian comedian, regular audio edition co-host, Mr. Douglas Nagy.
International friends, on this eve of romance, I salute you with muscle relaxers and oils. And coerce you into doing things you would not normally do.
and sitting to my immediate left and to Doug's immediate right is regular roundtable participant, the one, the only, Mr. Darren Connolly. Darren?
Good to be with you again, and I am feeling rather relaxed and oddly oiled.
You're engaged.
I am engaged.
What are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Nothing, because my fiance hates Valentine's Day.
Oh!
And she told me we are not doing anything on Valentine's.
I thought you were going to say my fiance hates me.
No.
Yeah, we were getting married.
That's cool. We can procreate. But don't expect me to socialize.
She said I can give her flowers any day of the year except Valentine's Day because she thinks it's too commercial. So we're having our protest against Hallmark.
Right on. Damn the man.
Exactly.
Fight the system.
Yep.
Doug, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Having a couple of hot noodles and crying.
All right, well, let's dive into it here. We've got a whole bunch of things to cover. First of all, have to apologize to the audio edition listeners. There was no audio edition last Wednesday or Friday. Completely unrelated, but just technical issues for one day, scheduling conflict for another day, and we weren't able to get one up. And we just decided, well, instead of putting up something rushed and getting something up on Sunday, let's just hold it till Monday. So here we are. So we've got a lot of stuff to cover today.
A lot of things.
And we're just going to dive into it. Item number 1, the new Will Ferrell comedy, which we have been talking about for some time, Talladega Nights, where Will Ferrell plays a NASCAR driver named Ricky Bobby.
That's awesome.
Do you need to say anything else more? Here's the thing. We've heard about it. We knew it was going to get made. I had no idea they'd even started production on this thing. And yet, for those of you who just haven't been to the Movie Blog's page, www.themovieblog.com, it's right there. The trailer for this film is now out.
I've been following it, I think, for at least a year on IMDb. And I know I knew it was slotted to come out this year, but was totally floored that the trailer was out already. And I'm totally pumped because this is shaping up to be probably one of the best comedies in 10 years.
What?
Are you fucking crazy?
10 years?
You have the people who did The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Anchorman.
Okay.
You have Will Ferrell as a NASCAR driver. If you had a movie about NASCAR and it was serious, it probably would be one of the best 10 comedies.
I don't know,
in the
guys.
Next 10 years.
You know what? I watched the trailer and I thought it had its funny moments, but I would not say best comedy in 10 years, possibly. No.
Are you high on glue?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just don't find NASCAR that funny, but it looks like a typical Will Ferrell movie, and that's fine. I find his movies hit and miss. So
I'm actually going to fall down on the side of Darren Connolly on this one.
Oh my god!
No, hold on a second. I loved the trailer. I did. I thought the trailer was really funny. That end part where he gets out of his car because the car's on fire and he's running around yelling, "Help me, Jesus! Help me, Jewish God! Help me, Tom Cruise!" I howled the first time I saw that. I think it does look quite funny. But, having said that, I'm going to come down on the side of Darren Connolly and saying, no, I don't think this thing has the potential to be funniest movie ever. I think it's going to have some good giggles and some good laughs.
I said one of the best comedies in the next 10 years.
In the next 10 years or the last 10 years? I thought you said the last 10 years.
I forget what I even said anymore.
Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's probably not going to be one of the best comedies of the last or the next 10 years.
You got Sacha Baron Cohen is a gay French NASCAR driver who's sponsored by Perrier, and the only shot you see of him is him shaving his legs in a bathtub full of bubbles.
Yeah, that was good. That was the best part of the trailer, in my opinion.
But having said that, I think Well, I'm a Will Ferrell fan. If you've read the movie blog for any amount of time, you know that I'm a Will Ferrell fan. I enjoy his comedies very much. I loved Anchorman especially. But there is something very sophomoric about Will Ferrell's comedy, and that's great, that's fine. But I find the comedies that stick in my head as being like classic comedies, like best all-time comedies, is a film like, say, A 40-Year-Old Virgin, where you have some sophomoric stuff in there, but it's also smart, and it has some smart humor in there too. Will Ferrell's comedies, while I find them damn entertaining, and I love watching them, and I am a fan, are not of the same caliber as those types of comedies. I don't think so. I think it's going to be great, fun to watch, but no, I don't think we're looking at one of the great comedies in the next 10 years.
I'll have to disagree slightly, because you take a movie that's sophomoric like Animal House, and that is one of the best comedies ever. And that invented the frat genre.
Okay, but it was unique for its time.
And it was, and you say it invented the genre.
Yes.
So I mean, it was a trailblazer. It stood out. Honestly, and I'm going to be very unpopular when I say this. I watched Animal House again about a year and a half ago, whenever the anniversary DVD came out. I can't remember when that was. But I watched it when it came out again. And it wasn't... I liked it. It's funny. But it wasn't as funny as I remembered it. I mean,
the thing is, you've seen it how many times? Like, I've seen it 20 times.
I've seen it maybe 3 or 4 times.
It's hilarious.
Well, it's funny. It's a funny movie. All I'm saying is that Will Ferrell's comedy is a Will Ferrell comedy. People come down on one side or the other. They either love it or they hate it. And I think when something has that much of a dividing line in it, I think it precludes it from being a part of any discussion of best in the last 10 years or best overall in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's like the discussion we had about Napoleon Dynamite.
Right.
You know, it was on as many worst films of the year list as it was on best films of the year list. And I think when you got something that's divided that many people dislike, it's hard to say, it's good to say it meets my sense of humor, because I loved Napoleon Dynamite. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But if it has only that much limited appeal, that it's only going to hit half the people that it hits, then I think that excludes it from being considered one of the great comedies. And that's where I think a comedy like The 40-Year-Old Virgin, you know, blazed such a trail, because we talked about the other day, it was also one of the highest critically acclaimed films of all of 2005.
Right.
And you're never going to see a Will Ferrell comedy on that list. And you know what? I don't want to see it on one of those lists, because I want Will Ferrell to continue to do Will Ferrell comedy, and that's what I like to see, and he entertains me, and I think it's great.
Then I'll say it probably, possibly, may make the Doug Nagy top 10 list over the last 10 years.
On that we can agree.
All right.
Well, then I will concede with you on that point. But I'm looking forward to it. I think
it's going to be, as far as Will Ferrell comedies go, I think this is over the top, and I think it has potential to be hilarious.
Yes,
and I like the cast is wicked.
Right. Yes, solid cast, and I'm excited. I did not see. Look at the bottom of the screen, folks. I'll put up for those of you watching on video. I should mention this. If you're listening to this through iTunes, we do a video cast of this as well. You can just come to the movie blog and download the video edition. And down the bottom panel, I put up the release date, because I don't know the release date for Talladega Nights off the top of my head.
One more thing, too, about Talladega Nights. His fucking kids' names are Walker and Texas Ranger.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, totally.
I will also concede that. I think it's going to be really funny. Well, let's move on to item number 2. It's no secret around the movie blog, I am a huge Bruce Campbell fan.
Right.
I love Bruce Campbell and just about everything he's ever done. All the Evil Dead movies, but of course, what I think is one of the all-time cult classic films, Army of Darkness.
Excellent.
Now they're talking about... There was talk about a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash movie. And we'll get to Freddy versus Jason in a minute. But sadly, those rumors fell through. I thought that would have been an amazingly fun film to watch. But... this is not just rumor. This is fact. Bruce Campbell has confirmed this on his personal website. Bruce Campbell is now working on a film, is in production, called They Call Me Bruce. And basically the story is demons are unleashed in Oregon, and people who live there mistake Bruce Campbell, the actor, for his movie character, and they go and kidnap Bruce Campbell and bring him to Oregon to fight demons.
That's awesome.
Now, I think this has the potential to be one of the greatest comedies of all time. Just from my personal point of view. But right. I think this is one of the greatest pieces of news I've ever heard. I cannot wait to see this. I think this will be great.
I think it's a great way to get that character back in another situation, rather than continue on with the Evil Dead lineage.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, it's going to be
Because
hilarious.
remember, it's not Ash, it's Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Right.
Like, he's not playing Ash, he's playing himself in the movie, the
But I'm
actor
sure
Bruce Campbell.
part of the problem is going to be all the villagers are going to get him to be Ash.
Yes, they're going to think
And
he is Ash.
it's going to be funny because they're going to throw him probably a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Why do you still have a hand? You're supposed to have a stump.
That's right.
I wonder if they're going to try to cut off his hand. That would be hilarious.
Yes, and I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
should have more demons in film.
Oh,
That's why I'm happy. That
you
we
want to
have
know what will
this.
probably happen? I bet you he's going to lose his hand somehow, and the chainsaw's going to come back on his arm.
You have
Yes.
to. I think
It'll
you
be,
have
you
to.
know, it'll be a big reveal moment, like partway through the film, when the demons like take his hand somehow, and then it'll be John. He attaches the chainsaw.
There'll be some serious Judd action.
And he's like, that's the worst thing you could have done was take off his hand.
Yeah, yeah. There'll be metal guitar
There will be some metal guitar.
for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. I
On the
wonder if they're going to
soundtrack.
have the little mini evil Ashes running around.
I hope they get the guys from Gwar to be the demons.
Yeah,
Gwar?
Gwar, yes, the
I thought
heavy
those
Are
metal
they
guys
even
Gwar.
still alive?
Of course they are. They're
Those
artists.
guys are a joke.
I thought
They're
they were
artists.
demons
they're
posing as a
joke.
band.
They are. They're demons from hell,
Oh.
corrupting youngsters with boobs.
Yeah. Demons with acne problems and never get laid. Okay. Let's
Oh,
move
they
on.
have sexual intercourse, I'm certain.
I know, but male prostitutes need business too. So let's move on. This is kind of interesting. Some more X-Men 3 news has come out. Some more images have come out. I kind of like the stills I'm seeing. I've already said that I really like the Fraser Crane, Kelsey Grammer, who plays Fraser Crane.
The surprise crossover. Fraser's making it.
Niles joins Magneto.
Niles does a cameo. He shows up to the mansion with frappuccinos.
Mutants like their coffee.
I like the pictures of Kelsey Grammer as the Beast
Yeah.
very much, actually. And I'm actually also very much enthusiastic about the pictures I've been seeing of Vinnie Jones as Juggernaut.
Juggernaut.
I know, Darren, or Doug, you were a little bit concerned about
I'm still
the
pensive.
helmet.
I still want to see the helmet.
But I like the man in suit action going on.
I do like the man in suit. I just wish there was some more rock and helmet action.
Right.
I just think it looks silly. You can't have a helmet the size of the guy's chest and think,
Isn't
oh,
he
yeah, this is-
carrying a helmet? I saw him carrying a helmet.
Yes,
at
but
one
it's very similar to Magneto's helmet, which
Oh, I
in
see.
the comics is kind of what it's supposed to be, a helmet that blocks out Professor X.
point. Yeah, blocks telepathic energy
Yes.
or whatever, which is what Juggernaut is supposed to do as well.
Right, and that's his only weakness.
Right.
But on the downside, what I've been reading is that Brett Ratner, of course, the director of the Rush Hour films, is directing this one as well.
Right.
That he is running out of time. He is rushing production, and the studio will not give him more money that he wants to clean up some things, and he doesn't have the time to fix some things that he wants to fix.
Wow.
Now, that's what I mean, because apparently, and this is just all, I don't have this on any authoritative source, but this is what's going around, is that the studio they've already got the release date set, and the studio is 100% concrete that they want X-Men 3 in theaters before Superman Returns hits the theaters. And that's putting the crunch on the X-Men 3 production.
But you know, oh, go ahead, Doug.
No, I apologize, Darren.
No, please.
Why is it such an issue to get it out before Superman? Like, Superman's going to make a ton of money at the box office, wait a month or two, pump out X-Men 3. It's already got a huge fan base.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to say, "Oh, you're copying Superman if you come out second."
No, I think probably what they're concerned about is that you put out Superman, it gets a huge response, and everybody loves it, and everybody drags their girlfriends along, like guys like us drag their girlfriends along to go see Superman. And then for those who are not comic book genre people, who maybe will get out to see one, may not be ready to go see another one within 3 weeks or within a month or something like that. I'm not saying I agree with the studio's decision here. I'm simply saying I can kind of see where they're coming
Right.
from on this.
Right.
Because you don't want to come out 2 weeks after Superman when everybody's gone to see Superman. Because let's face it, I think even the people at Fox knows, if people have a choice between dropping their money to go see X-Men 3 or going to see Superman Returns, people are going to go see Superman Returns for the most part.
Maybe. I don't know. There are some people who just like X-Men better than Superman. X-Men does better than Superman in the comic book sales, so although Superman is the bigger icon, right? My concern, though, is that whether you're rushing the movie, or whether you get the movie out before Superman and after Superman, if you put out a crappy movie,
Yeah.
a rushed movie, a movie that is not polished, it doesn't matter when the release date is. It's not going to do well if people say this movie is crap, right?
Well,
I think the better option is put out a quality
Big
movie.
Mama's House 2, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay, but nonetheless, I think the better option is put out a quality film as soon as you can get it done, be that before or after Superman, and let the film compete the way the film is supposed to be, instead of rushing it to get out by the release date and churning out something mediocre. Which is, from a lot of what we've been hearing, a lot of the buzz is this film is mediocre so far, right? So,
well, that's true, and since the beginning, the buzz has been that it's going to suck.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then we saw some pictures and some clips, and it's been more encouraging. And then you drop the shit hammer, and you say that they're going to rush it.
Man,
Yeah.
I told them keep the shit hammer on the shelf.
That's right. Like, strategically, I can see why you would prefer to release it before Superman, maybe. But to rush a movie is absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
And I
don't
think
sacrifice
everybody
quality.
would agree with that, and especially now where people have the internet and can read about it, hear about it, that it is being rushed. That's not good for anybody.
Okay, but now let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Brett Ratner comes on board as director of X-Men 3. He says, "Yes, I'm excited. I want to do this." And he presents the studio with a production schedule. The studio looks at the production schedule. Ratner looks at the production schedule. It has it scheduled so that the movie can come out 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before Superman Returns. And Brett Ratner, the director, sits down and says, "Yes, this is what we can do." So the studio says, "Okay, then we're going to start the marketing machine to plan for this release date. We're going to release the release date. We're going to tell people when it is. We're going to advertise it. We're going to get our distribution deals in place to distribute the film on this date and this date and this date." And then Ratner comes back to the studio crying, "I'm the artist. I need more time to make my product." Who's to blame? I'm asking that kind of facetiously, but honestly,
Yeah.
I'm wondering who's to blame, because I agree with you.
Yeah.
Release the movie when it's ready, but at the same time, in a situation like this, where Ratner has said, "Yep, I can have this movie done by this date," the studio sinks a lot of money in planning in for that release date, and now Ratner comes back and says, "I need more time." What do you do?
Push comes to shove, I would suppose Ratner is the one to blame. However, if I'm an investor, I try to look at the grand scheme of things, and to me it would make more sense in the long term to make as much money as possible from this movie, so give them some extra time.
So you think they're wrong, the studio's incorrect, when they believe that releasing X-Men 3 2 or 3 weeks before Superman Returns sets it up to make as much money as possible, as opposed to releasing after Superman. You think they're incorrect?
I honestly do not think that if they release it a month after Superman, it's going to have any effect on its money making.
I disagree.
Ooh.
I disagree.
Let me just chime in though on what you were asking earlier with your devil's advocate point.
Sure.
I was just going to say that. Dang it! I forget what point I was trying to speak out against.
You had no point.
No, I had a point. I had a point. Damn it! What did you? What did
about
you
the devil's
say?
advocate, about who's to blame for this whole mess.
Yes, who's to blame? This is what I was going to talk about. Who's to blame?
You're always about who's to blame.
The thing, when you set a plan for a movie, when you make a schedule, you say it's going to be up by this date. You know, you're making certain assumptions, and you can't fully foretell the future. You don't know what's going to come up on set. You don't know what kind of complications are going to happen. And when you have a movie, a complex movie with as many characters as this has, with so many special effects to coordinate, there are going to be unexpected issues that come up, right? And I think the studio should take that into account. And hopefully, when they were setting the date in the first place, they took this into account.
That's what
right?
I'm going to say. They probably did.
Hopefully. But nonetheless, there has to be some flexibility there, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how even your CG technology might change during production to allow you to make something that looks better, or, you know, if something happens with an actor or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that the studio needs to offer the director enough flexibility to put out a quality product.
Okay, now let me offer the other side of the coin on this.
Mm-hmm.
You are engaged.
Right.
You have set a wedding date
Mm-hmm.
that is months ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you have planned your wedding date with understanding that this is when we believe is safest to do it. We know we can have everything done by this time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you decide you want a certain friend to be in your wedding party. And now it's 2 months before, not even 2 months, let's say it's less than 2 months before your wedding date. Invitations have been made and sent out. Reception halls have been booked. Caterers have been hired. All planning's been made. Honeymoons have been arranged, blah, blah. Now you come to your lovely fiancé. Just want to say hello to Larissa. You come to your lovely fiancé less than 2 months before the date and say, hey, an unexpected thing has come up. I need more time. Can we bump it 2 more weeks so I can get my friend in here? Because it just won't be the same unless I have this one particular friend here.
Well, see, first of all, I wouldn't ask her to bump it because I've actually made like 60% of those arrangements myself for all that stuff that has to happen. I know what you're saying, but the other thing that's different is that I'm not making money off my wedding. I hope. I mean, I'm hoping people do give me some wedding costs.
So he is planning to make money off his wedding.
Cash bar.
If any of the guests at my wedding are listening right now, please give me nice gifts. However, I'm not putting on the wedding as a money-making enterprise the same way that they're doing.
Okay, but all I'm saying is in the same regard, when you set those dates, setting up your distribution deals, setting up your marketing plans, and remember, we're not talking about a 2 weeks after Christmas Ghostland of when movies are released. We're talking about we're getting into the summer season now when all the big movies are getting released, and you got to plan very meticulously about when you release your films. You got all this stuff, a lot of money invested in that date. It's not the easiest thing to just up and change a release date.
Well, it's going to suck, but it's a situation where you have to choose the lesser of two evils.
Amen to that, brother.
And do you want to throw out a shit product, or do you want to be on schedule?
Yeah. It's either early shit or, well, it could be late shit too.
Yeah, and who knows? Yeah. Maybe the studio knows it's trash. Maybe it's absolute garbage.
And they're just trying to capitalize on opening weekend.
And maybe that's why they're like, let's throw this out before Superman so it'll make money because it's a piece of shit anyway. And if it comes after Superman, there's no way it's going to make any money because by the time Ebert tears it apart, we're screwed.
That's true.
Well, okay, I'm going to come down slightly on the side of the studio on this one, that I understand that you put a lot of money invested and you worked it out with the director and you took the director's estimations into account when you set the release date and you got to stick by it. However, it depends on what things aren't right. If Ratner just had a new idea for a love scene with Rogue and he really wants the $300,000 extra dollars in the extra week to get that new love scene with Rogue involved, then maybe the studio's fair in saying no.
On the other hand, if they're going to rush it and it's going to destroy a franchise, I think it's a bad idea because I think that you could make 7 X-Men movies, no problem.
Well, we'll see what'll happen. Let's move on to the next story. I'm going to actually combine 2 stories here. I was going to talk. Never remember the name of the guy from The King of Queens, the actor who was in Hitch with Will Smith.
The fat guy?
Yeah, I'm sure that's his name.
I was going to say big boned, but fat if you must.
He's got the biggest stomach bone.
I'll look up his name and I'll put it down in the reader bar there for the video edition. 2 related stories. As if we didn't see this coming. Hot on the heels of all the nominations and buzz for Brokeback Mountain and everything else is going on, they've announced a new comedy starring Fat Guy and Adam Sandler
as gay people?
As in a movie called I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, where they play not gay cowboys, but they play 2 firefighters who I guess are straight, and they decide to get married in order to qualify for the benefits package of the fire department, and probably discover that they're in love at that point. Now, hot on the heels of that, it's also been announced that the studio's greenlit a script that's just been floating around for a while, but nobody wanted to make. But suddenly now they want to make it. 2 gay baseball players. It's called The Dreyfus Affair, A Love Story. And now they're greenlighting that, and that's going to go into production.
And Brad Pitt's in that one?
Well, I was going to actually bring up, and of course, hot on the heels of what we talked about last week, Brad Pitt now saying he wants his next role to be the greatest love story he can find.
Right.
And once again, we see the mighty flood of studios just following the trend. Whatever's the trend, here we go, get on board. Now, I will admit, I do chuckle at the concept of this Adam Sandler, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry, where they decide to get married to meet the benefits. I do.
Yeah.
But it also, I feel a little bit of despair. That here we go, just following the trend, whatever is trendy right now. Just like when the disaster movie trend happened.
Right.
Like, remember, what was the one with Pierce Brosnan about the volcano?
I think it was called Volcano.
No, that was the one with...
I think it was called Pierce Brosnan Lava Master. And he threw lava, and apparently he wasn't acting.
No, Volcano. Who's the guy who was with Will Smith in Men in Black?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. The one with Tommy Lee Jones was Volcano.
Right. It was
and then the other
Dante's
one, Dante's Peak. Thank you.
Yeah,
so, got Volcano. Well, now we got Dante's Peak.
Yep.
You've got a movie about King Arthur. Well, now another studio puts out a movie about King Arthur. Like, yeah, it kind of bothers me. And we're probably, you know what? And I said in my post, I have no problem. I mean, I don't care. Put out gay love stories all you want. That's great. It just bothers me that I know they're only releasing them now because it's an Oscar trend. Right. That's too bad. So I guarantee you, within the next 2 to 3 months, we're going to hear not nominations, but green lights on projects about every traditionally, quote-unquote, manly profession, like professional wrestlers and plumbers and whatever. We're going to hear about.
I want to see Disney do a gay cartoon about the Spartans so parents lose their minds. I want to see lots of French kissing and spooning. I want it to be a jazzy musical number with swords and armor.
They can get Elton John to do the music.
Exactly.
It's done on
It's writing itself.
Yeah. Listen up, Disney. We got your next hit right here.
There will be a gay cartoon shortly, probably, and parents are going to lose their minds, and I can't wait.
Well, I suggest there probably won't be that cartoon until parents wouldn't lose their minds. Because if the parents lost their minds, that would mean no money.
Well, there will be parents that will see it.
Let's move on to the next item. Next item for bids here. Basic Instinct 2 with Sharon Stone is coming out, and just recently this week, the official trailer for Basic Instinct 2 was released. But just a day or two before that, pirated leaked footage from Basic Instinct 2 got released. And basically, it's 2 minutes of porno.
And there's a car that goes into the water.
That goes into water.
It is softcore porno.
But there is multiple scenes of full nudity, humping, lesbians, threesomes, you name it. It happens in this trailer.
There's a lot of humping.
There is a lot of humping.
Yeah.
It's like the baby blue late night movies where you don't see
Snatch.
I was gonna say stuff.
I just heard the S on your lips.
No penetration. None of this. But you still see boobs and dry humping.
Yeah, you see everything. I mean, it's just whatever. Now, what makes me laugh is that they're calling this pirated leaked footage. I mean, and this is explicit.
Yeah, for Sharon Stone, it's explicit for sure.
I think it's par for the course for Sharon Stone.
Okay, well, all right.
But the thing is, there is no way anybody's ever going to convince me that this is quote-unquote pirated leaked footage. This is something the studio leaked out on purpose. They put out the regular trailer, but they knew that regular movie-going, no one's interested. Up until this point, nobody has been interested in Basic Instinct 2.
Mm-hmm. No.
Everybody has thought it's just been a joke.
Well,
and now suddenly out comes this porno trailer, and everybody on the web's talking about it. And I think this is a very methodically planned out move by the studio to put out porno without putting out porno. So
it's
they can
a great move.
With it.
It's a great move because they can't put up porno on the trailer, so they do some cheese-ass trailer, and then they get some pervert from the Netherlands, and it's a Netherlands site.
Yep.
Yes.
And they blame it on the Dutch.
The Dutch are sending this whole world to hell.
The Dutch and the Danes.
Yeah, but what happens is the Danes. We knew you were up to something all these years. But what happened is, and you want to what? Now we get to see the killer stuff that everybody wants to see anyway. People are like, holy crap, Sharon Stone's smoking kook. Let's go see the movie.
Let me say this. And let's see if we have consensus in this room.
Yeah.
Sharon Stone is approaching 50.
Yeah.
Damn!
Yeah.
That is an attractive, well put together. I mean, I don't know how many hours a day this woman spends in the gym. She looks fantastic.
Amen.
For 50. Do we have consensus in this room?
I concede to that damn.
Yeah.
Sharon, do we have consensus in the room? Sharon agrees.
Amen.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. But Doug, you're right. I mean, fact of the matter is,
smoking kook.
Here we are talking about Basic Instinct 2, and we weren't talking about it last week.
But you know, let me just say this as devil's advocate per se, that
People no longer like nudity.
Here's the question though: is the buzz of this movie simply that it's Sharon Stone that's nude in it? Because nudity on the internet is not a rare thing.
No.
True.
And finding clips of people humping on the internet is not a difficult thing to do, I've heard. And so, like, I think the only real draw for this must be the fact that it's Sharon Stone naked, because those who are looking for some baby blue action, as Doug has put it earlier, know where to find it and can find it abundantly.
The thing is, though, this is an erotic thriller, and if they pull it off well, it may even be a good movie. The first Basic Instinct was a great movie.
I never saw it.
And how many erotic thrillers do you have in the theater now?
That's true.
When's the last one you can even remember?
And I think
Was that Madonna movie?
Was that a thriller?
Yeah, it was like kind of like
I think it was Body of Evidence.
Yeah, that was it.
Willem
Body of
Dafoe or
Evidence.
something.
But you made a point, I think, in talking about the horror genre that combining sex and violence
Yes.
gets the juices flowing. So maybe they're aiming for that same kind of.
It is violent. It really like when you have sex and violence in the movie, nothing pumps your testosterone more.
Right.
That's the truth. You're humming at the end of the movie, and
Yeah.
you may or may not have a semi.
You want to go home, kill somebody, and find some nice porn on the internet.
You want to have sex with a loved one covered in the blood of your enemies. The way it was meant to be there.
like the Spartans used to do back in the day.
Indeed.
It's Disney
That's
listening.
right.
Yeah, another scene
Steve,
for
we
Disney.
sure killed a lot of dudes. You want to hump? You know it, buddy. That's living. That is living.
I agree. I both disagree and agree with what you were saying, Darren, about, well, you can find porn on the internet. Because I've been saying that for ages. But the sad fact of the matter is, I remember when The Girl Next Door came out. I wasn't that big of a fan of the film. But all the little teeny boys were all excited about going to see it because, it's the porn star who lives next door and you're going to get to see titties and you're going to get to see this. And that's everybody flocked to go see it.
Right.
I mean, it boggles my mind because if you want to see nudity, if you want to see porn, you can go get it for free on the internet. So it boggles my mind why people, look, what we saw in the trailer for this fake trailer, this pirated leaked footage of Basic Instinct 2, it's nothing compared to what you can easily find through Google or Yahoo if you're looking for it for free. But, having said that, it's still going to get people to the theater. I don't think it's just because of Sharon Stone, because it works with all these other movies, too, that promise a lot of nudity and sex, and it gets the teenage boys out to see it.
Well, and it is the big screen experience. It's an erotic thriller. It's exciting. You're going with your friends. And it's like I said all along, people want to see nudity in groups. Which is why at the end of the day, I don't think we have any right to point fingers at Paul Rubens. So we've come full circle.
You know what, though? I don't want to see nudity in groups, for one. Because I don't want to look over and watch and think to myself, how is Doug processing the nudity?
You want to? I'll wear track pants. So you are fully aware of how I'm processing the nudity. No, this isn't doing anything for him.
We should have gone to see another movie.
That's right. He liked Brokeback Mountain much better.
But maybe it's the big screen thing. I mean, because that is true. Nudity on the internet is generally smaller than life size.
Well, plus people do like thrillers. There's a group of people who really love thrillers.
Maybe having it on the big screen in a wide release of some sort legitimates it somehow. So, like the guy who would be embarrassed to be sitting at home with his girlfriend, looking at TNA on the internet, feels more comfortable.
Just dump her.
But feels more comfortable going to like their local movie chain,
right.
And checking out the action there.
He knows she hasn't seen the trailer.
Or he's shown her the Tame trailer, and he can tell her, it's just
That's
a thriller.
right.
I think maybe we're trying to read a little too much into the psyche behind, watching nudity in groups.
Somebody has to.
I think it's
Sharon Stone did anal in the movie. Why don't you get on board? She's almost 50.
What's your excuse?
Yeah, that
true.
may have been crossing the line. I apologize, international friends.
I think I think it's just as simple as, oh look, boobies, 17-year-old boys flocking to the movie theater.
That's been
I
an
think it's
age-old
simple as
combination.
that. Yeah.
I don't know. I still say it's cheaper and easier to find on the internet.
Well, no, I agree with you. And I don't know why it works. I'm just saying it works.
It's not like when we were kids when we had to like sneak into the photography section of the bookstore or look in a dumpster out back.
No, but listen, eventually you get sick and tired of watching like maybe 1-minute clips of movies on the internet and maybe picture after picture.
Well, that's what they invented BitTorrent
But
for.
remember your youth.
That's what they have BitTorrent for.
Remember your youth when you saw your first Barbarian tit movie.
Like Barbarian Queen.
Yes.
Or Barbarella.
Or, well, that's a space barbarian.
I always mix these slut genres.
The Deathstalker series was fantastic.
Right.
We also have Phoenix the Warrior and a host of others.
Oh, Doug, you are a walking repository
I try my best.
of the barbarian slut movies.
Well, let's move on. We spent enough time on Basic Instinct 2. 3 significant films opened this weekend. Pink Panther, of course, with Steve Martin. Horrible reviews. Firewall with Harrison Ford. Even worse reviews. And the one film that actually got positive reviews, to my shock, was Final Destination 3. Now, I got out to see Final Destination 3, and it is a cheesy teen slasher screamer flick, but it worked. For those of you who don't know the concept of the film is a bunch of high school students getting ready to graduate climb on board of a roller coaster at an amusement park, and just before the ride starts, one of the girls has a vision of the roller coaster crashing. She freaks out. About 8 people get off the roller coaster, and then the roller coaster goes, and sure enough, it crashed, and everybody on board died. And then mysteriously, everybody who got off the roller coaster, one by one, start to die in really freaky accidents.
Because it's like death. They escaped death, and death
is coming to go get them.
Yeah.
And what they lacked for in being able to set up real pure tension, like the Hitchcock thrillers or whatever, they made up for in just grossing the hell out of you. I mean, who cares about plot point? No one cares. One of the girls dies because a high-powered nail gun gets shot into the back of her head about 20 times and like comes right through her face. And
that's wicked.
Like guys getting crunched and chopped in half, and every despicable, disgusting thing you can think of happens. And you know what? This is the sad part. I'm afraid to admit this. There's even one scene where a couple girls and you see this in the trailer, but a couple girls die in a tanning booth. And so this goes right along with what you were saying.
Do they get fried by the tanning machine?
They do get fried by the tanning machine. And go along with what you were saying, Doug, is that before they get in, of course, these 2 young girls get naked, and 2 of the most unbelievable bodies on people I've ever seen in my life. But
John, come on, you work out with me 3 times a week.
But the combination, I don't know what it was, the combination of nudity, the combination of this gross out stuff, release certain endorphins and testosterone, whatever. By the end, you feel pretty good, and you actually had a pretty fun time watching it. It's a dumb movie. There's no doubt about it. It is pretty stupid. It can't hold a candle as far as plot goes. But by the end of the film, the vast majority of the people who saw the film in the theater with me
had a decent time.
Had a good time. They liked the movie. And had fun watching it. And really, by the end of it, that's all you can see. On a scale of no, go, or Roth, I'm going to say it's a go. It doesn't come close to Roth, but the way it makes you feel, it's an exciting movie to watch. It falls into the go category.
Can I just ask one question? Do they ever explain why the people get the visions of death, like to
Not
escape
in this movie,
it?
no.
Because like I don't know. It seems like it's better from what you've described. It would be better just to go on the roller coaster, like. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, wait, I had this vision of this awful death. Well, I better stay on then, because it's probably better.
Well, I
than what the
mean, nobody's
alternative
getting a
is.
vision of like if you avoid this, you're going to get nail gunned or tanning bend to death, right? So
yes, true.
Anyway,
I think if I was going to do a horror movie, I would probably do the deaths first, like the nail gun. Like, what are the most graphic, disgusting deaths I could think of, and then try to work a movie around that.
That's pretty much what they did.
Yeah.
you do the deaths at the beginning of the entire movie?
No, but if I was planning out like a slasher movie,
Oh, right.
before I did anything, I would try to work on how are people going to die.
Right, right.
before I even started writing the story.
Rather than what are the intricate plot points and deep philosophical moments that I want to have in this movie, and work death around those.
That's right.
Yeah.
Working the death, then the nudity, and if there's any time left for plot.
I came across this woman with nails through her head. What happened to this woman? And start from there. I agree.
She's baking a cake. No.
Okay, two quick things, and then we'll call it a day. Baywatch, the movie, is getting ready to go into full swing.
Wow.
Eli Roth, the guy who directed Hostel, is directing it.
Sweet. Is he German?
I don't know if
I
he's
bet you
German.
he is, because they love David Hasselhoff.
Well, David Hasselhoff is the producer. He's the creator. He's behind it. But this is what made Pamela Anderson is going to have a cameo in it, and apparently some of the other original cast are going to have cameos too. But they're going to go with younger, hotter stars. But Hasselhoff said this. He said, "But it's not just going to be lifeguards. They're also in the movie. They're going to be lifeguards / crime fighters, where they get called away from time to time to fight crime."
Didn't they?
It's like, what?
Didn't they do that with one of the spin-off TV shows like Baywatch Nights, and they were like privatized by night? And
Well, there was the
probably know
Pamela
too much
Anderson
about
TV
this.
show where VIP,
right?
But I don't think she was the same character from.
But
No.
they did have. I'm pretty sure they had some sort of Baywatch spin-off that ultimately flopped because it's ridiculous to be lifeguard by day and PI by night.
But let's face it, this movie is going to be absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, and
Crime-fighting beach dudes.
And
And
since
if Hostel is an indication, Eli Roth has no problem showing a lot of gratuitous nudity.
well, I
and
was going to say,
sex.
since it's not on TV, then the doors are open, right, to be showing not everything necessarily, but definitely more than you have.
Your use of imagery is always brilliant. Yes, the door is open. I agree. Yes.
Hasselhoff has said to appease his German fans, there's going to be a lot of pissing. There's going to be a scene where they're like, we might as well pee on each other because we're going to be swimming in the ocean anyway, and that's full of fish urine.
Or maybe someone gets stung by a jellyfish, and you have to pee on the sting to relieve the poison.
I'm shutting this conversation down right now.
But can I just ask, is Hasselhoff going to be in the movie?
I don't know. I'm
He
going to
has
assume
to be.
he'll have a cameo just like all the other original
I
cast.
can't imagine Baywatch without Hasselhoff.
It's like having Christmas without Santa Claus.
It's like having Christmas without drunken relatives.
Okay, let's. I was going to talk about Freddy versus. Freddy versus Jason versus Michael apparently has been greenlit.
Versus Michael?
Versus Michael from the Halloween films.
Oh, right.
Mike
right.
Myers.
Right.
I could care less. I'll be honest with you. When I first heard about Freddy versus Jason, I was so excited. I put up a post about it on the movie blog when I first heard about it, and I was thrilled. I was so utterly disappointed with the movie. I almost wept. And I lit a candle. I was so sad.
Oh, John.
And now I have no desire. My interest was piqued again, as I mentioned earlier, with a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash idea. But Freddy versus Jason versus Michael, I'm not interested. Either of you guys? Does this spark any interest in either of you?
See, I've never watched much of the either Freddy or Jason movies, or Michael for that matter either. But my question would be, don't they ever die finally once and for all in any of the previous movies that's been made?
Oh, don't be silly. Of course they did. But then they come back. They always do.
All right.
Kind of like those warts you get in your private areas. You think they're gone, but they just keep coming back.
One of these days, you got to get them burned off.
I tried liquid nitrogen, and that went nowhere.
I'm not really excited to see it, I don't think.
I
didn't see the last one because everybody said it sucked.
Yeah, it did. And then Robert Englund, the guy who played Freddy, was also talking about that they're looking that they may be doing another Freddy movie, but a prequel.
Right.
But as one commenter on the post said, what's the point? In one of the Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street movies, we already saw how he became Freddy. We already saw, yes, we know his mother was a nun who was raped by 1,000 inmates in a prison, and that's where he was born. Then he killed all little children. We know this already. I mean, we've seen it already. What's there to do? I like a good horror slasher flick. I have no desire to see a horror slasher flick where the mass murderer is going around sexually abusing and killing 8-year-olds.
No.
I mean, we can joke about it, but I have no interest in seeing something like that. So what's the point?
No. I think they should put this franchise to rest. I think that it's time for new blood, so to speak.
I think you're allowed to get away with a lot more things after somebody comes back from the dead. I think if you had a movie where somebody's raping and killing children,
and he's still alive and mortal,
yeah, you're gonna have a tough sell.
Yeah, I have, and I agree with you, Darren. I think for both Friday the 13th and for Freddy, I think it's done. You capped it off with Freddy versus Jason, which you should have done 5 or 10 years sooner. It's over. I mean, just you put it to rest, let it go, let it die. Could have been fun adding Ash, but without Ash, there's just no novelty.
It would be, if they made that movie as a comedy or like horror comedy, like you had with Evil Dead or whatever, then that would be worth seeing. But just horror slasher with those guys,
it's done. Well, we better wrap this thing up here. I have no concept how late we've gone on this thing, but we want to thank Darren Connolly for joining us here on the roundtable. I want to thank my regular co-host, Canadian comedian Mr. Doug Nagy. I want to thank producer, I didn't mention this before, but operating the camera and doing the technical work for this one is Miss Sharon DeWitt. Producer, director, documentarian, comedian, actress, you name it, she does it. And thank you for joining us here on the audio edition. Make sure you check back with us again. Doug and I will have the next installment up on Wednesday. Thank you for downloading the audio edition and the video edition. And until next time.
Bye-bye.